The air over Gaza has thickened again with the smoke of war. Missiles scream across ancient skies while sirens wail through the streets of cities both modern and biblical. But what if these aren't just modern political skirmishes? What if what we're witnessing is a carefully timed act in an ancient war script, a prophecy being fulfilled before our eyes? For generations, scholars, mystics, and conspiracy theorists alike have suspected that the Israel-Palestine conflict is far more than a geopolitical struggle. They believe it's the earthly manifestation of a celestial war, one foretold in ancient scrolls, buried texts, and prophetic dreams. From the prophetic visions of Ezekiel and Joel to coded warnings in the book of Revelation, the idea that Gaza would become the spark of a divine confrontation has echoed across time. But the question remains, is the conflict we see in today's headlines actually a smokescreen for a much older, much darker agenda? Let's begin by rewinding the clock. Gaza is not just a strip of land on the Mediterranean, it is a site of profound biblical significance. In Judges 16, Samson brought down the temple of the Philistines in Gaza, collapsing it upon himself and his enemies. This was not merely an act of strength, it was a ritual of sacrifice, vengeance, and divine judgment. Some scholars argue that the energies released in that act embedded Gaza with a spiritual charge, making it a magnet for perpetual conflict. What if that energy was never sealed? What if Gaza was cursed or chosen? According to ancient Hebrew writings that never made it into the canon, Gaza was one of the spiritual gates of the earth, a place where the veil between the natural and supernatural was thin. It was here, they say, that fallen entities once attempted to re-establish their dominion through bloodlines and temples of old. And now, as modern war machines clash over this ancient gate, one must ask, are we seeing the reactivation of a portal long kept dormant? Now look at the timing. Each major conflict in Gaza has aligned, uncannily, with astronomical events, blood moons, eclipses, and Jewish feast days. The 2023 outbreak occurred within the shadow of a rare lunar alignment tied to the Feast of Tabernacles. Coincidence or ritual timing? According to the Zohar, a mystical Jewish text, the final war before the coming of the Messiah would involve the sons of Ishmael rising against the sons of Isaac. The region between Gaza and Jerusalem would become a fiery furnace where nations would gather in confusion. Are we now seeing that furnace lit? And here's where things get stranger. Sources from inside Mossad, according to fringe reports, claim that key decision-makers in Israel have been studying not only military intelligence, but also ancient prophetic timelines. Some within the military elite reportedly consult the Sefer HaZohar and the Book of Daniel when planning campaigns. While this sounds like the stuff of fiction, it aligns with repeated patterns, the timing, the messaging, the ritualistic symmetry of the strikes. But let's not be naive. Israel is not the only player invoking ancient forces. Across the border, militant groups have adopted symbols not only of jihad, but of older, darker orders. Some researchers believe that behind the scenes of Palestinian leadership lies a group that venerates the ancient gods of the land, Baal, Dagon, and others buried by history but never truly forgotten. Their emblems, chants, and coded messages suggest a link not just to political Islam but to a deeper, more arcane rebellion, one aimed at the God of Israel. The war on the ground may be about land and politics, but the war in the spirit may be about thrones and dominions. This brings us to the possibility of the script. Is there a hidden document, a kind of forbidden scroll or covert doctrine, passed down through generations that outlines the key moments of this conflict? Some claim that an ancient war manuscript, now hidden in the vaults beneath Jerusalem, details the final battles of the Holy Land. Called by some the Scroll of the End, it allegedly maps not only military movements, but also cosmic alignments, bloodline betrayals, and sacrificial events. No one outside elite rabbinic or intelligence circles has seen it, but whispers of its existence persist. And what of the children? One of the darkest but most revealing signs of an ancient war is the targeting of the young. In every major conflict in Gaza, children suffer disproportionately. To some spiritual analysts, this isn't just collateral damage, it's ritual. A reenactment of ancient child sacrifices disguised as modern warfare. The shedding of innocent blood on consecrated land may not be accidental. In fact, in occult warfare, it's often essential. In a haunting parallel, the prophet Jeremiah once wrote of children being burned in the valley of Hinnom, just outside Jerusalem, as offerings to Molech. And today, as bombs fall and blood is spilled, are those rituals being revived in hidden form? Finally, let us ask, who benefits from a prophecy fulfilled? If we are indeed watching a prophecy unfold, then someone, or something, is orchestrating its progression. Whether human or not, the intelligence guiding these events seems to follow an ancient logic. provoke, divide, sacrifice, escalate. This is the first part of the journey, but it is far from over. And while the world watches this conflict unfold through screens and headlines, few understand that it may already have been foretold, not only in scripture but in secret agreements, sealed scrolls, and celestial alignments. The battle lines, though drawn in the sand, seem to mirror constellations and ancient maps long forgotten. And behind every government statement, every airstrike, every act of defiance, echoes a whisper, a voice from the past repeating, "This was always meant to happen." But meant by whom? There are those who believe that global elites, some operating from within religious institutions, others within intelligence agencies or secret societies, are following what they call the Great Alignment. According to this belief, the earth must pass through a time of purging, initiated by controlled chaos, to pave the way for a synthetic peace. That peace, of course, will not come freely, but will be ushered in by a global figure offering solutions, unity, and digital salvation. A messiah for the modern world. But not the one the ancients hoped for. In this narrative, the conflict in Gaza is not a sideshow. It is the ignition point, the match that lights the final sequence, not because it will destroy the world, but because it will prepare it. But prepare it for what? Let's go deeper. Recent reports claim that advanced surveillance drones flying over Gaza have more than military optics. Some are said to be testing electromagnetic frequency fields, measuring spiritual energy concentrations. Far-fetched? Perhaps. But consider this, in the ancient Temple of Solomon, certain sacrifices were performed at locations where geomagnetic anomalies intersected with spiritual activity. Sacred geometry wasn't art, it was warfare, spiritual warfare. Now think of Gaza again, a land drenched in ritual, sacrifice, and blood, a place repeatedly purified by fire. And now ask, who wants that space cleared? Some researchers believe that Gaza is one of several ancient nodes that must be reset for a greater convergence, a global unlocking of something buried beneath the earth and hidden in the stars. From Megiddo to Nineveh, from Petra to Jerusalem, these sacred points are being activated, and war conveniently clears the land and the narrative. But the involvement of foreign powers complicates the picture. Why is the US so deeply embedded in every move Israel makes? Why does Russia silently empower proxies that keep the fire burning? And why is China, silent on the surface, quietly investing in cyber infrastructure directly connected to this region? The answer may lie in the book of Revelation, a cryptic passage about the kings of the East preparing the way for the great battle. While theologians debate the meanings, those behind the curtain seem to be following it like a manual. What's even more chilling is the whisper among underground circles that the Temple Project, a multinational, multi-faith initiative to rebuild a sacred space in Jerusalem, is already underway. Not by those who believe in God, but by those who want to seat something else upon the throne. A counterfeit kingdom. And here's where it all circles back to Gaza. If the third temple is to rise, something must fall, not just politically, but spiritually. Gaza, in this theory, represents not only resistance, but a final barrier, a symbolic and literal stronghold of an ancient force. By eradicating it, the initiators believe they will symbolically destroy the last vestige of the old rebellion and open the gate for the new order. But is that truly what's happening? Or is Gaza a pawn in someone else's cosmic chess game? Let's remember, prophecies can be fulfilled, but they can also be hijacked. A manufactured fulfillment can look real. When events are orchestrated to mirror ancient texts, people are more easily manipulated. They submit not just out of fear, but reverence, because they believe destiny is unfolding. And yet, as all this moves forward, we see the rise of strange signs. Dreams across the globe intensify, people claiming visions of fire, of ancient soldiers walking among ruins, of winged beings over Jerusalem. Some speak languages they never learned, others wake with markings they cannot explain. The veil is thinning. What if the war isn't just awakening global politics, but spiritual realms? This theory, fringe as it may be, says that each missile strike is a drumbeat calling the watchers to attention, that as blood touches earth in certain patterns, echoes are released into the heavens, not metaphorically but literally. Frequencies that open gates, ancient gates. Some say the Euphrates already whispers, that entities long bound are stirring. The final act is being written, but it is unclear who is writing it. Will peace come? Maybe. But will it be the peace people expect, or the peace that follows submission? In the end, the question that haunts this war is not who will win, but what will be unleashed. Gaza has burned before. Nations have risen and fallen over its ashes. But this time feels different. This time, prophecy and politics walk hand in hand, and behind them, shadows older than history creep ever closer. As we stare into the smokescreen of another regional conflict, we may be witnessing a ritual, a countdown, a performance thousands of years in the making. So ask yourself, Is what we're seeing simply war, or is it a spiritual drama hidden in plain sight, where every bomb, every scream, every prayer fulfills a line written in an ancient divine script? And if the final lines are being written now, who or what gets the last word?